Scheer is promising to get tough on the Liberals over the Omar Khadr decision. The new leader of the federal opposition says that his party will force a debate in the House the day that they get back to work. Of course, as many know by now, Khadr is the convicted terrorist that killed American medic Christopher Speer on the battlefield. And at the annual Conservative Party Stampede Barbecue here in Calgary, Scheer spoke at length about the issue of the Canadian government apologizing and promising this convicted terrorist a $10.5 million payout.
Let me announce tonight that when Parliament resumes in the fall, we will use our very first opportunity, our first opposition day, to debate this payment to Omar Khadr, and we are going to force every Liberal in the House to take a stand on it. The question will be simple. It will be simple. Do you support paying a self-confessed terrorist over $10 million, or do you stand with the common sense of millions of Canadians? Justin Trudeau will have to stand and defend it. Ralph Goodale will have to stand and defend it. And I know people in Calgary will want to hear how Kent Hare, the Minister for Canada's Veterans, I want to hear what he has to say and how he explains how he votes on this motion.
In a media scrum post-speech, Scheer also addressed his stance on what he thought about the initial Supreme Court decision and Khadr's repatriation.
I accept the Supreme Court's ruling. The Supreme Court ruled that government officials acted improperly and violated his charter rights. I accept that. I also accept the principle that it was left to the government to decide how to remedy that situation. And the government at the time remedied that situation by repatriating Omar Khadr. That was the compensation that he was entitled to. The very fact that he's able to live freely in Canada is the compensation. The government has no obligation to repatriate other criminals around the world. There are many Canadians who find themselves in prison or in jail in other countries, and we don't have an obligation to repatriate them. We took that proactive step because of the court ruling. We respect the principle that the Charter applies to every single Canadian, no matter what the background or the situation is. But that's where the story should have ended, with the repatriation. This multi-million-dollar payment is over and above what he was entitled to, and was a choice by Justin Trudeau.
Scheer obviously stood by the previous decision that the repatriation of Khadr was enough compensation for human rights violations that were experienced during his time at Guantanamo Bay. But in a media address late last week, Ralph Goodale placed blame on the former Conservative government and also suggested that this is a dollars and cents issue. The problem with Goodale's response, though, is that this is also a moral issue, and it's not as simple as considering how much this is going to cost the taxpayer. We're talking about making a convicted terrorist a millionaire with taxpayer money here. It sounds crazy because it is. What's more is that these Liberals sure do like to move the goalposts. They say the Canadian government won't pay out ransom money for Canadian citizens kidnapped by terrorists, but they'll give a convicted terrorist millions of dollars. This is a real situation. They have the blood of John Risdale and Robert Hull on their hands after sitting back and watching the murder of these two innocent Canadian men at the hands of terrorists who kidnapped them in the Philippines. Liberals say they don't want to fund terrorists, but what they actually mean is that they will fund a certain kind of terrorists. And if we want to play Ralph Goodale's dollars and cents game, the Liberal price tag on Canadian morals is just $10.5 million. For the Rebel.media, I'm Holly Nicholas. Thanks so much for watching. Justin Trudeau and the Liberals just committed to paying convicted terrorist Omar Khadr $10.5 million after he killed an American medic on the battlefield. If you're as disgusted about this as I am, there's something you can do. We want to raise $1 million for the victims, the Speer family. If you can help us out, please visit SpeerKids.com.